Here in the Pittman-Sullivan food forest, here you can tell a couple of trees, fruit trees that are out here. You can't see it as much, but they're actually on a berm here. Right where the dog's at is a swale. And it goes back up into a berm. So these defined lines really will help capture rainwater and keep it by the root zone of these plants. So we got a couple of them here. We got an early peach. Looks like it's gotten a head start. It's already starting to red. We have an apple that's out here. Pollinator, native pollinator here. Nitrogen fixing, I believe, yeah. It's got a little bean on it. This is a nitrogen fixing support species. We got a pomegranate. Out here doing pretty well. These do really well in the area. Pomegranates are native. Looks almost like a JuJube here. It's got thorns on it. Just starting to bud in. And this right here is a pear. You can tell by its growth habit. They'll tend to grow more upward. What you would do is you would take this and open this canopy up. You would take these outer branches, pull them down with some string, and that'll allow them to kind of grow outward, have them kind of anchored by a cinder block, something like that. Another peach tree. Peach trees do really well out here. Pears have been known to do really well. It's another stone fruit tree. There's a lot that's growing out here in just this small little section here. Even going on over to a couple more trees. Of course, figs do really well in our areas. You got things like this Mexican buckeye, support species. Here's what looks like an older pineapple guava. It's not doing so well, but hopefully it'll bounce back. Another pomegranate, a lot larger. Here we have a rose and a citrus. As we said, some certain citruses work really well in our area, but what you gotta always look out for is the graft. So this one is kind of really hard to tell, but basically this was the original citrus, the native citrus to our area that was growing, and then this is the graft that's growing on. You want to make sure that you always cut below anything that's growing below the graft line, because that's going to be that native rootstock growing. Really what you want to keep is the top citrus that's trying to grow, whether that be a lime, lemon, anything else. Here we have another tree. This could be a cherry, not sure. A lot of the stone fruits will have this pattern here on it. There's a bunch of trees out here that I'm not too fully sure on until they produce the fruit. Here's an olive, beautiful leaf pattern, but huge tree. You can just see it's an overstory, upper story tree. Really beautiful blooms. Here's a mulberry tree, a lot larger, more established, but you could see, oh, look at this. We already got one here in the season. Still needs to go a little bit more, but let's go ahead and eat it and see what it tastes like here. So these, yeah, grow really well, really prolifically. You can air layer prune them, or you can even just cut off a branch, stick it in the soil, and they can re-root pretty easily. And mulberries are pretty easy to work with plants. And that one tasted pretty good. So it could be ready anytime soon here. Last little thing we got some Texas sage bushes here. Those are native pollinators. Right back up behind that upper story is pecan. Pecans are kind of our native nut tree. A couple things that you want to keep in mind when trying to grow some trees in San Antonio, South Texas area is really check what works best in your area. Our local area usually takes about 200 chill hours to about 500 chill hours if you go up north in the hill country. And this is really important to keep in mind. The chill hours are what really tell the tree when to go through dormancy. It needs to have that certain number of hours to be able to know when to wake up. That'll allow the tree to wake up at the right time and be able to start budding. Sometimes if it buds a little too early and then a late freeze comes, then you'll lose that fruit. You also want to keep in mind, there's probably a couple of apples that were out here. Those apples are all kind of working together, so some trees can be self-fertile. They'll be able to pollinate with themselves, but other ones sometimes will need an additional tree close by that the bees will transfer pollen from that tree over to this one to produce the fruit. So making sure sometimes if you're going to plant just the one, make sure it's self-fertile. But a lot of the trees that are self-fertile will still take another tree and be able to produce more, produce higher yields that way.